All right, here we go. Some confusion in the wake of yesterday's news that the National Security Advisor is out, promoted, according to the Vice President, to the United Nations, about who's going to replace him. Announced yesterday, Marco Rubio as the temporary two-hatter Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. Today, there were reports, echoing some reports from yesterday, that Stephen Miller was going to be a National Security Advisor. Now, some people were deeply alarmed by that. He does not have a lot of traditional national security experience, but recall he was on the Signal chat. He's heavily involved in national security already, has the confidence of the president. In some ways, that job is just about organization and administration and coalescing, but pretty much everyone who's had the job has more formal national security experience than Mr. Miller does. Not clear what's going on. Here, number one, Politico, in the wake of several reports about Mr. Miller potentially getting the job, says, in fact, not only does Rubio have it temporarily, but that the White House wants him to stay in the role short term, 6 months, long term rather, 6 months, and maybe make it permanent. Amber, what do you think about this Rubio Miller door number 3 aspect of this important job?
Well, it's really interesting. You know, the other name I've heard floating around is Michael Anton, who would be a favored pick from the America First crowd. I personally would be a bit disappointed to see Stephen Miller get the role, not just due to lack of experience, but because I love his interactions with the media right now, specifically on immigration. I think he's a really important spokesperson for the administration on the legalese surrounding those issues and pushing back on some of those narratives. And I actually think it would be a net loss to the admin if he went to NSA.
Interesting. You know, I've said this before, but I never tire of saying it. Stephen Miller, I first met him when he worked for Senator Sessions in 2015. And Senator Sessions of Alabama was the first U.S. senator to endorse Donald Trump in 2015. And Stephen, who was a very top aide to Sessions, quickly became a Trump advisor. And I would ride in press vans with him back then. It's amazing to me. He's gone from an anonymous aide to a relatively obscure senator in 2015 to a decade later on the, being touted as a national security advisor. That's a pretty good run, Amber, for 10 years, right?
Yeah, and I think what some people have been bringing up recently that was particularly impressive was when the Duke lacrosse scandal broke. He was obviously a student on campus, and he was one of the first people to defend the innocence of the lacrosse players and start poking holes in the prosecution's case well before it was popular to do so. He took a lot of heat from his peers for that. So I think that kind of tells you that he's somebody who's willing to stand up against the tide or whatever's popular if he thinks it's right or if he thinks the facts are on his side.
Yeah. Amber and I could run through all the reasons, all the things about Stephen that the left detests, including his manner, right? His manner is, stylized, if I've been euphemistic. But I think what people, again, one of the things we try to do on this platform is open the minds of people to things they may not feel or think. To just say Stephen Miller is like a scary blowhard, which is what people on the left think of him. He's actually a very smart guy, and he's pretty funny too. But the left doesn't see either of those, I would say. Hey, want to be part of the two-way community all the time? Hit the subscribe button. Great video clips like this, plus conversations like no other, full episodes, and more. Always available on this channel. You got to hit subscribe to never miss a thing.